And now let's go to the next speaker. And the next speaker is Alberto Ezquerro, who is the head of education of TheConstruct.
And today, Alberto is going to show us the latest improvements of ROS 2, describing new features for ROS 2 Humble, the newest version of ROS 2. So
you remember that it was the one that has appeared just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so
2 weeks or 3.
For all the people that are interested in, hey, where do I start? Do I start in Humble already, or maybe I wait a few months for something more robust to get working? So
yeah, this talk can be very, very interesting. Can clarify many of your
absolutely
of your doubts.
So welcome, Alberto. Are you there?
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay.
So all yours, Alberto.
All right. So I hope also the audience is hearing me. So yeah, hello everybody.
Yeah, no problem. It's hearing you loud and clear.
Okay, great. So yeah, as Miguel and Ricardo just said, we are going to have a brief talk, basically on introducing the new ROS 2 release, which is Humble, ROS 2 Humble Hawksbill. And we are going to be having a look at some of the updates that this distribution brings, also some of the new features that it introduces. So yeah, we are not going to go into detail into everything. This is more kind of an overview of the different things introduced with this release. Okay, and we are going to have a look, okay, at what it is, and we are going to see some demos also to try to clarify a little bit what this update is for. So yeah, let's get started then. So my name is Alberto Ezquerro. I am head of education at TheConstruct. Some of you might already know about me because of the open classes that we are doing each week on Tuesdays, 18 CEST. So in case that you didn't know about these open classes, so make sure to be there in the next ones. So every Tuesday at 18 CEST, we are doing these open classes where we are talking about many different topics, ROS 1, ROS 2, but these are more educational, let's say, than this talk, because here we are going to focus on a topic and talk about it. So yeah, then let's get started. So the first thing that we are going to do is to start the simulation. We are not going to be using the simulation for everything, but we are going to be using it for some of the demos. So it's a good starting point. Then, as you already know, you have had already some practice today with the platform. So let's open then a new terminal, a new shell, like this, and here in the notebook, in the how to launch the simulation section, we are going to run these two commands, which are going to start here a ROS 2 simulation of a Robotics MP400 robot. So let's run these two commands. And this second command basically is a script which inside it's setting some environment variables and running a ROS 2 launch command. So so yeah, let's take a moment now, meanwhile the simulation is being loaded, to open the IDE. All right. So this is going to give us access with this graphical code editor to all the packages and files that we are going to be working with during this talk. So yeah, here we can see in the left side that the simulation is being loaded. There you go. So here we have our simulation with the MP400 robot here in a empty environment with these paintings in the ground plane. So yeah, let's leave for now this simulation here opened. Also the terminal where we have the process running, let's leave it here at one side. And later we are going to come back. And yeah, so here I have opened the IDE. All right, in case that you want to have a look at the simulation packages or whatever, they are here inside the simulation workspace. All right, so you can have a look by your own here to the scripts and what all this is doing. So, so yeah, then once we are set up, let's start with the talk. So, so yeah, Hawksbill is the 8th release of ROS 2. It's been released a few weeks ago only, so it's really, really new. And a very important point to say about this release is that it is a long-term support release, okay, which means that this distribution of ROS 2 is going to be supported during a long time. Specifically, the support is going to last until May 2027, yeah, which is some years. So yeah, in case that you are new here to ROS 2, you want to start, for sure, this makes Humble the choice, the correct choice. So usually when you are going to start working on a ROS distribution, my advice and the general advice would be to go for a long-term support release, okay, which is the case. So yeah, this makes Humble the perfect distribution to start learning or developing for ROS 2. Then, as I said, in this talk, in this presentation, we're going to be checking some of the new updates, new features that this distribution brings. So always that we have a new distribution, a post is created with all the details of, you have the link here to the official documentation with the official post, with all the new updates, features that this distribution brings, okay? So we are going to be checking some of these, the ones that I think they are maybe more interesting, or we can create a visual demo to demonstrate it. All right, but in case that you want to have and you want to check the complete list of everything that has been done for this distribution, you can come here and have a look at everything, even the all the pull requests that have been created for each of the updates or features. All right. Then yeah, so let's get started now. And yeah, the first thing is that Humble is the first ROS distribution that comes for Ubuntu 22. Okay, it's the first one. Then, but it's not the only platform which supports this distribution. All right, there are other platforms which here in the OSRF they divided into tier platforms. So tier 1 platforms would be the best platforms where to install this ROS 2 distribution, which are Ubuntu 22 and Windows 10. Tier 2 platforms, which so ROS 2 Humble can also work here, but it's not going to have so much support. We will have Real 8. And finally, tier 3 platforms, which are Ubuntu 20, Mac, and Debian Bullseye. All right. So ROS 2 Humble should work in all of these distributions, but as we go from a top tier to a lower tier, then you might encounter more issues, and it's not recommended if you are not a ROS expert to go for these tier 2 or tier 3 platforms. Yeah. Then, yeah. So with the initial introductions being made, let's go for the different demos and features. So we are going to divide this into two major sections. First, we are going to be reviewing some of the new features that Humble introduces. And then later, we are going to see some updates that have been made with respect to Galactic. So they are not exactly new features, but things that have changed from the previous distribution, which is Galactic, ROS 2 Galactic. All right. Then the first new feature that we are going to review is about environment variables. So in ROS 2 Humble, environment variables are scoped inside group actions in launch files. Okay. Then let's do a quick demo. So for each feature, we are going to do a demo to try to clarify what we are talking about. Then we are going to start by creating a new ROS 2 package. All right. So yeah, let's come to our shell and let's open a new one by clicking here in the Create New Shell button. Then we are going to go to the ROS2 workspace and the SRC folder, of course. And then here you're going to see that you have already some packages. Yeah, you can also check this from the ID. You already have some packages here that we are going to be using for the different demos. But right now we are going to create a new package, yeah, which we are going to name Humble Tests. So let's create this new package here. Here we go. And then inside this package, we are going to create a launch directory where we are going to place this launch file. Okay. Then let's come here to the Humble Tests package and right click on it and create a new folder, which we are going to name launch. Right. Then inside this launch folder, we are going to create the following launch file, test.launch.xml. So let me create this new file inside the launch folder, test.launch.xml. There we go. And now inside this file, using the code editor, we can very easily paste the code from the notebook. Okay. All right. So we are going to create also another version of this launch file, which is going to be the Python version. Yeah. So as you know, in ROS2, you have different ways of creating launch files. Most popular ones are Python and XML. Also, you have the possibility to create YALM launch files with YALM format. Yeah. But in this case, we are going to be checking these two. So let's create this other launch file, which is the same launch file, but in another format, in Python format in this case. So let's create also inside the launch directory, of course, another launch file, which we are going to name test.launch.py. Okay. Then we are going to paste here the Python code that we have here. And we are almost done. Okay, so now all the thing remaining here is to properly install the launch directory so that the ROS2 system can find these launch files that we have created here. So in order to do so, we have to update here the cmakelists.txt file. So let me make this a little bit bigger. So let's open the cmakelists.txt file. And then here at the bottom, for instance, here, we are going to paste these lines of code. Yeah, the ones which are here under add to cmakelists.txt. So let's copy these lines of code and paste them here. Yeah, so this, as you can see, is going to basically install the launch directory that we have just created into the share folder of the install folder of the workspace. Yeah. All right. So once we are set up, we can compile. So let's go to the root workspace. And now here we are going to compile. We can run a colcon build here in order to, yeah, this is going to compile the whole workspace. You can compile only the new package if you want. Yeah, so you're going to find here some warnings like this one. Okay, don't worry about them. These warnings are because of the version of the setup tools package. Yeah, I was investigating a little bit, but yeah, we can just ignore that. So yeah, then let's source, and then we can run the two launch files like this. So ROS2 launch humble test launch XML. So first we can run the XML version of the launch file, yeah, which is going to give us this output. Yeah, we are going to see right now what this means, and we can also test the second one, which is going to give us exactly the same output. Yeah. So what does this mean? What does this have to do with humble, with ROS2 humble anyway? So if we have a look here at the logs, at the output of our launch files, we can see here this echo command, which basically it's printing here. It's echoing a number 1. Okay. Then the interesting thing here, for instance, if we have a look at the XML launch file, is that we are using here this environment variable, and we are setting it to 1. Okay. And down here, we are running a command, echo command, where we are basically printing this foo variable. Yeah. And in the case of this launch file, of both launch files, in fact, we are getting the number 1. Yeah. So, but here we are changing the value of the foo variable, right? We are setting it to 2. Then why don't we get the number 2 and we are getting the number 1 instead? Well, this is because this setEnv tag, this line is scoped inside a group action. Okay, then this is treated different. Yeah, so this is not going to affect the main flow of the launch file, which is this one. Yeah, so whatever I do here inside this group action, whatever I do with this foo variable is going to be limited to the scope of the group action. Yeah, it's not going to affect whatever this foo variable value is outside this group action. Yeah, and this is something new in Humble. So if you try to run this same launch file in Galactic, for instance, the value of foo that you are going to get is going to be 2. Yeah, so this is why this is relevant. Okay, and exactly the same happens with the Python format. Yeah, but the syntax is different. So here you have the group action. And whatever happens inside the group action, it's not going to affect the rest of the launch file. Yeah, and this is something new introduced in Humble, which is worth mentioning, and we can test it and have a look at it very easily, like we have just done. All right. Okay. Then in some cases, like this one, I am just using the regular regular demo, yeah, which is very basic. In some other cases, I have created some custom demos. Yeah, in this case, it's just the simple and basic demo because we can see very clearly, yeah, what is going on here. Then, yeah, so let's keep moving. Then this is the first one. Then the second new feature that I want to introduce is this launch PyTest package. Yeah, so this package has been introduced, and basically this package allows us to create tests. Yeah. So for this demo, we are going to have to install this new package. Yeah, it's not installed by default. So we are going to run these 2 commands. Sudo apt update. We can run them right here. So let's first run an update command, and then next we are going to install this new package. Yeah, launch PyTest. So there were already some packages with a similar purpose in previous releases, like launch testing. But this launch PyTest package has some interesting new features and improvements with respect to the existing ones. Okay. Then let's run this command to install the launch PyTest. There we go. Yeah, so here you have some of the new features. So I'm not going to enter into details of how this package works. Okay, I'm going to provide later a link in case that you are interested in knowing more. Then you can have a look. So for this talk, we're just going to do a simple demo to see how to use it. Then in this case, what we're going to do is to create a new Python script. Yeah. So inside our Humble tests package, we are going to create a new folder which we are going to name scripts instance. And then here we are going to create this new Python script, which we are going to name simple underscore test.py. Okay. And now inside this Python script, we are going to copy and paste, as we did before, the code which is presented here in the notebook. Okay. So now let's, yeah, so now we can directly run. There's no need to compile because we are going to execute this script directly with Python. Yeah. Then we can run the Python script with the test with the following command. So we can copy it and paste it directly here, and this is going to fail because I pasted the command wrong. Yeah. Oh yeah, so there's a typo here. The file is not named. My file is not named test.py. Okay, so you can either rename the file here or just change the command. So I'm going to change the command here. It's simple test.py. Okay, let's run this, and as you can see here, I have one test which has passed. Okay, then we can have a very quick look here if you want to the script. But as I said before, I'm not going to enter into details because that would be this would be a topic for an open class, for instance. Then yeah, basically, as you can see, you have some specific keywords that you have to use for generating tests for launch PyTest. So in this case, we have here a very simple function which is going to print a hello world. Yeah, this function is supposed to print to echo hello world. Yeah. Then we have to define here a launch PyTest fixture, which always returns a launch description object. In this case, what I am adding to this launch description object is the hello world process, which I have defined up here. And I indicate here that the tests are ready to be run. Yeah. Then after that, we create the testing function. Yeah, which you always have to provide a fixture, which in this case is the launch description that we have defined down up here. Okay. And then inside here, we can make use of the typical assert functions in order to, in this case, check that the hello world is being printed. Okay. Now, this is a very simple example. You can come if you want, if you are interested in this, in learning more. I have left you here with the official repository. So you can click here. And then inside here, you are going to find more detailed information of how this new package works, how to create your own tests. You can even check some examples here, yeah, of different test scripts. Yeah. So yeah. Then this is also a very interesting feature which has been added in ROS to Humble. Then let's move on. So we have many different features. So let's move on to the next one. Then the next interesting feature that has been added to Humble is that we can pass ROS arguments directly to nodes. Yeah, what does this mean? This means that we can use this new ROS args tag. Okay. Then let's create the example, and then after we have created the example, I'm going to show you the difference with respect to previous distributions. It's going to be much clearer. Okay, it's a very small thing, yeah, but it's important to know. So yeah, then in this case, we are going to be using and modifying a little bit a package that we already have here in our workspace. We can already close all this for now to have the code editor cleaner. So we are going to be working with the parameter test package. Yeah. So very quickly, basically this parameter test package, which we have right here, it contains a code here inside parameter tests. This parameter tests node. This is a very simple code which basically launches a node which accepts a parameter, yeah, a parameter named velocity, which is going to set the velocity of the robot, the robot that we have running here in this case. Okay, then yeah. So what we are going to do with this package is to create a couple of launch files. Okay, so for this we are going to create here a new folder named launch, of course. And inside the launch folder, we are going to create a couple of launch files. First one is in XML format. It's this test underscore parameters.launch.xml. So let me create this new file here. And again, we are going to copy and paste the contents here from the notebook. Oops, I didn't copy them properly. Copy and paste here. There we go. And let's just keep this node section. And down here, we have the Python version. Yeah? We are going to create also the Python version here with the same name, but the .py extension in this case. Yeah. And for this one, we are going to paste the Python code down here. All right. Great. Then now, again, we need to install the launch folder properly. In this case, this is a Python package. So instead of the CMake lists, we have to handle this through the setup.py. Okay. But again, we are going to open here the setup.py. And right here in the data files section down here, we are going to copy and paste this line here. Yeah. As you can see, it's exactly the same as the previous one, but in this case, we are installing the launch folder instead of the config folder. Yeah, but the structure is the same. Okay. All right, then let's compile. So we can already compile. Then colcon build packages select. I'm going to compile only this package now. It's parameter tests. Parameter tests. Yeah, we have this setup tools warning, nothing to worry about. Let's source, very important. Okay, then now that we have compiled and everything, let's have a very quick look at these launch files. So as you can see, they are very, very simple. So in the XML format, we indicate the package name, the executable name, and then we have these ROS args tag in the launch file. Yeah. And here we are directly specifying this params file argument. Yeah. So we are passing this params file argument with the following value. The following value, which basically is a path. It's a path to a YAML file, which it's here. Inside the config folder, parambelnode.yaml. You can have a look here. It's exactly here. Yeah. And basically, this YAML file is you. If you have a look at it, it only contains. It's going to be used to set a value for the velocity parameter. So it's going to set the velocity parameter to 0.2. Okay. And exactly the same for the test parameters.launch.py. Yeah, so we are specifying the package, the executable, the name of the node, and here we are using the ROS arguments. Yeah, note that it's a little bit different, the parameter to use. So here it's ROS underscore args for the XML format, and for the Python format, it's ROS arguments. Yeah, and again, we specify the params file argument, and then we are passing, in this case here, the path to the YAML file through this variable that we define up here. Yeah. Then, okay, so what this, all this looks very normal. So what has this to do anyways with Humble? So the interesting thing here, the detail, is that before Humble, we didn't have this ROS arg stack. Yeah. So before Humble, how we would indicate this would be like this. We would use the arg stack, and then inside we had to pass the ROS args level like this. And then after this, we can indicate the rest of levels. Yeah. So now this structure has been adapted so that we can directly indicate here the ROS arguments without having to use the flag and everything like this. Yeah, it's a small detail, but it's important also. It's very important. Yeah, and exactly the same for the Python.
5 minutes.
But really? Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's okay then Yeah, we have compiled sources and everything. So all we have to do in this case is just to run. You can choose to execute the Python launch file or the XML launch file. And basically what should happen is that the parameter is going to be set and then the robot is going to start moving. So if everything is okay, parameter is going to be set and the robot is going to start moving forward, as we can see here. Yeah. So the launch file works perfectly, and we are setting directly the ROS argument, which in this case is the path to the parameters file. Yeah. So let's stop this. Now we can do param set of the robot. I'm going to set and directly the to change directly the parameter. Let me see if I can find it here. I don't see it now. Where do I have my velocity parameter? Okay, anyways, not important. We can just stop the simulation at this point. And let me see, because yeah, so I wasn't expecting to have only 5 minutes left because I have many more things to be seen here. So let me try to overview here very quickly to go over it, maybe skipping the demos.
Maybe exactly. Maybe you can just express what
Yeah.
they are about
Yeah.
and show what they are about
Yeah.
instead of.
So another interesting new feature is that we have front-end support for composable nodes. What does this mean? This means that we can start containers and load components directly from XML launch files. Okay, so in this case we have this in the my components package. Okay, so this, let's have a very quick look here at the my components package inside the launch folder. Yeah, so we can see these combined components launch py, where this is Python format. Okay, so this was already feasible using launch files in Python format, which basically what we are doing here is to start a container. Yeah, in this case we are starting here this container, yeah, named my container, and then inside this container we are loading two components, the move robot component and the unsubscriber component. Okay, so this was possible in Galactic already and in previous releases, but this was not possible in launch files with the XML format. So from Humble, this is also possible to do in launch files in XML format, as you can see here. Okay, you can test it by your own later. Then yeah, so this was also a very interesting demo. So basically, in ROS to Humble, we can use CRL documents, certificate revocation lists, in order to control how nodes communicate between them. Okay, so we can assign a certificate revocation list, let's say for a publisher, yeah, and then if the subscriber doesn't have this same CRL document, the connection is not going to be possible. Okay, so yeah, some things related to security, which are always interesting. Then you have the full demo here. You can try it by your own, and you're going to see how this works and how you are not allowed to communicate from the listener with the talker because of this specific CRL document that you create for the publisher, for the talker in this case. Yeah. Sorry. Then some new tags for the command line tools. For instance, this flow style, which in fact, this one we can test it very quickly if you want. We have to start the simulation anyways. So yeah, we have this flow style tag, which has been introduced to the ROS to topic echo command. You can add this flow style tag, and basically it's going to change the way in which you get the information presented. Yeah. So for instance, if we run this command here, a regular ROS to topic echo of the ODOM topic, for instance, we are going to get the data presented in this format, as you can see, whereas if we add the flow style flag, you're going to see that we get it presented in a different format, which is YALM freely format. Okay. Also, from command lines, we can control so we can filter the messages received from an echo command based on Python expressions. Yep. This is also very, very interesting. So the way to do it would be to use the filter flag and add the Python expression here. Okay. So for instance, we can test this also very quickly. If we run a publisher node here, and we subscribe ROS2 topic echo here to the chatter topic, yeah, we can see that we are getting different strings being published, right? Then we can use this command with this Python expression here and the filter flag. And this command basically is going to filter to only receive the messages which start, yeah, you see this starts with function, which start with the hello world. Yeah, so we are only going to be getting these messages, the one which says hello ROS developers. If you run it now, we are only going to see these messages. So very interesting feature, also introduced with ROS2 Humble. You have also, you can visualize now in RVS2 mass properties like inertias. Okay, also super interesting. And as of the changes for the Galactic release, I'm almost done, I'm going to comment them. What a very important thing introduced is that we have support for managed nodes in Python with RCLPy. Okay, so until now we could only use lifecycle nodes with RCL-CPP, so using C++ code. Now it's also possible to use managed nodes, lifecycle nodes with Python. Okay, also very interesting. Yeah, and these ones are not so important, are interesting, but not so important. And also very important, the deprecation of residual target interfaces. Okay, so this function is used whenever you want to use custom packages, custom messages, custom interfaces defined in the same package where you are using them. Okay, then for this, the residual target interfaces function was used. It's now deprecated, and you have to substitute it by the following two functions. Okay, you have the full demo here to test it, and you're going to understand much better what this is about. Yeah, and yeah, and finally some changes also to the static transform publisher command line tools, which are also very interesting and useful, and are going to make your life easier. So I don't know how I am with time.
Yeah, so you are in only 5 minutes.
No, we need questions. This time for the questions.
Yeah, so give me only one extra minute, please, or 30 seconds even.
30.
To say
30, okay.
30 seconds. Yes. Okay. So yeah, so let me just remind you, you have the instructions here at the end that you can start using Humble with just a few clips here in our studio. Yeah, so you can create your own project on Humble already in case that you want to start testing it and creating your packages. So you can create a new project. All this is completely free, of course. Yeah, so you can come here, create a new project, and in the distribution you can select Humble, and you are going to have your ROS2 Humble project in 2 clicks, in just 30 seconds, as you have seen. So yeah, I encourage you to do it and to start trying this new distribution of ROS2. Okay. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thanks, Alberto. Thanks, Alberto.
Thank you very much.
So for all the audience, as always, remember that you have the Q&A section. So please go there, post your questions about Humble or whatever, and vote for the questions that you are more interested in. And
yes, and in the meantime, while people is putting the questions on the chat, on the Ask the Speaker tab, then let me ask you the first question myself. So you have explained several things about changes in ROS to Humble from ROS to Galactic. Anything that you can tell us about things that you are still missing in ROS to Humble that you would like to have in ROS to Humble, but they are not yet? In comparison with ROS 1, I mean, so we have some
in comparison with ROS 1. Okay, so a couple of things come to mind. So the first one is the so loved ROS-cd command, which it's extensively used in ROS 1 in order to move from one package to another. So this is something that I am still missing for ROS 2. I know that there are some differences, which are the reason that this is not implemented by default already. There are some alternatives also like cd, but I would like to have something standard which is installed by default, which does something similar at least and helps you in moving through the ROS 2 ecosystem and packages. This is one, and the other one that I personally would like to have already in ROS 2 and that it's not still present is the setup assistant. So I have
setup assistant of what?
Of Move It. So I have used it a lot. Move It in manipulation projects, and in ROS 1, the setup assistant makes it extremely easy to create a Move It configuration package for any kind of manipulator robot. In ROS 2, there is not yet a version of the setup assistant, and you have to do some tricks there to have it prepared. So that's something that I would love to have also very soon in ROS 2. Hopefully in the next release, they are going to include it and to have it ported already.
Let's cross fingers.
Let's cross. So we have also a question from Joel Spolen. He asks, what, in your opinion, is the best new feature of Humble?
Good question. I would say the one that I like the most probably is the managed nodes in Python. Yeah. So until now, if you wanted to create your own managed node, your own lifecycle node, you had to do it in C++. And if you are not very good in C++, this can become a problem. So now you can create also lifecycle nodes and managed nodes in Python, which is much more easier, faster, and accessible for everybody. So I would say that this is one, at least one that I like a lot.
And why do you think that lifecycle nodes are important then? So to need some Python implementation.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yes. So you mentioned that this is a very good improvement to have lifecycle managed nodes in Python, in ROS, but why are they so important to require Python implementation?
Well, it's not important to have the Python API, but it's helpful in case that you want to create your own lifecycle node and you don't like to program in C++ or you don't know how to, you can have a very simple node created in a few minutes in Python, and you can do your own tests, or you can create your own nodes and configure them as you want, easier and faster than without this Python API. So that's why I would say that it's important to have it.
Okay, one last question maybe?
Yes.
From Alejandro Serna. He asks, would you recommend migrating from ROS 1 to ROS 2 as of now? Or when ROS 2 would you think will get as mature as ROS 1? It's a very valid question, actually.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And it's hard to answer because I would say that there is no one good valid question, but it depends on different things. It depends on what is your project about, what things you want to achieve. So because for some things, ROS2 is already quite mature, but for some others, there is still a lot of room of improvement and things are still changing. Okay, so probably this is going to get stabilized in the following releases. But in these last releases, from one release to another, there are some things changing in terms of flags, functions. So there are many things that I have not seen because they are more technical, but there are things in functions that are changing, things that get deprecated. So this has some inconvenience in the sense that you are going to have to be maintaining a lot more your code in ROS2 to adapt it to the new releases and to the changes that are being made. In comparison with ROS1, which basically it's super stable now and things are not changing. So if you have one thing working, it's going to be working forever, basically now. Then, yeah, so I would say that in general terms, I would say that it's interesting to migrate already to ROS2, but you have to make sure that whatever your project is about, you have already a good background of packages and things that you are going to need in ROS2.
Okay, good answer, very good.
So thank you very much again, Alberto.
Thanks, Alberto.
Thank you.
Okay, so
we have reached the point.
Yeah.
The breaking point.
Do you smell something?
I smell.
It's not you.
No,
it's
a
not you.
Starbucks.
Oh, Starbucks.
Starbucks, yeah.
So we are going to do our, I think, earned lunch break.
Yes, definitely.
So the lunch break will be 1 hour?
Yes, it's 1 hour from now. And then, you can go and grab something to eat, or you can have a rest, but stay here for the powerful intro that we are going to have in the next session when we start after the lunch break. In the meantime, ourselves, we are going to have a bite, and where are, again?
In Starbucks!
Yes, Starbucks, the best coffee shop, yes, in the deep sea.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, so...
See you
in
an hour.
Yeah.
Have a rest.
Yeah.